Good morning. Welcome to a special show, a special edition of I'm trying something different today. But I am Matt Mascarenas and this is Ball Sports episode I think we're on 8, episode 8 of Ball Sports. Um I'm trying something different today. We usually record it and I go live with the show around 3 later in the day. But I got time this morning and I got time in the mornings now usually. So we're going to give it a shot. Let's see if we can do a live show in the morning. See if that can work out for everybody. But before we get going, you can check out everything we have going here at Elevation 5280 Sports at e5280sports.com. You can get involved, follow us on socials. If I can pull those up real quick here. Here we go. Follow the show at on X at 5280 Sports Radio. Follow me, Matt Mascarenas1 on X or Twitter, formerly Twitter, but X. I think we're calling it X now, right? I think that's what we're doing. As always, you can comment and participate during the show if you want, for example, like that. Now that we are live, pop in, say what's up, get involved. Today's show, recapping the weekend of the playoff games, football. I mean, we're basically this close to being done with football, because we're gonna have the championship games next week, and then after that we're going to go right into, we're going to have that 2-week break. Remember, we get the 2-week break between then the Super Bowl. But I guess I shouldn't say that, because I am kind of excited or interested in the new combined, what are we calling it? The UFL, I believe, the United Football League. It's X and the XFL that kind of like joined forces. I guess you want to say they joined to make a league. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to be interested to see what that looks like. So I am going to watch that, because like I said, I am interested in that. So we'll check that out also. And but then we'll have baseball starts pretty quick here. But basketball is going to carry us for a lot of the time. But I am curious at that football season. But we're getting close to where we're not going to have football. We're not going to have football anymore. And I mean, I don't know how I for me, I'm kind of okay with that, because I'm kind of done with football. You know, I don't think that this year's football was college was exciting at first, and then the NFL was exciting because it was back, but the football was crap in the beginning. It was just not very good, and it didn't really get very good. There were some games that were thrown in there that were good, but for the most part, football wasn't that good, and I didn't enjoy it. So it was interesting this year for football for me. But the weekend football games were pretty exciting. Yesterday's game was exciting as far as the Bills and the Chiefs go. We'll get into that. The Bills and all their mumbo jumbo that we're going to deal with that, or we're going to see if potentially we can see McDermott getting fired. Maybe, I don't know. We'll get into that. KC, all that, and then you had Detroit, Tampa Bay, which it was kind of close. You know, Tampa Bay just could not stop that running game, especially up the middle. They were just destroying Tampa Bay in the middle. It was wild. Baker Mayfield, man, God, I would you like to have that dude at quarterback? Would you? That's a question. If your team is in need of a quarterback, potentially the Denver Broncos, would you like to have that guy here? That's something that I think Tampa's probably going to lock him up. But I don't know how much money they have to actually give him, because I don't know their situation after Tom Brady's whole situation. So we'll see with how that goes. But I mean, that was a game. That was a game that was, like I said, it was close for a little bit. I was hoping that Tampa Bay could have been the team to ruin the Lions' dreams, their fairy tale that they got going on. But I don't know. Maybe that fairy tale is more of like a real life story. What do you call real life stories? Nonfiction, right? Maybe it's more of a nonfiction novel. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that stuff, to be honest. So, but they look like a good football team yesterday. So I don't know if that's, and I'm not saying that there's just, if you've listened to the show, if you follow the show, if you've watched the show, you understand how I feel about the Lions. But that they had that game. Those were yesterday's games. And then Saturday's games, right? That Houston Baltimore game, it was close during the half, but it was never really close. They just destroy them. At that again, Houston, it's a situation, in my opinion, where they deserve to be there. They did everything they needed to do. They won the games that they needed to win, and they were there. But you never really thought that they were going to beat Baltimore. They were never really in a position to be. It's just a young team, young coach, young quarterback. I mean, the dude was a rookie, man. So, and he was making he it wasn't like he was playing, when it comes to CJ Stroud, it wasn't like he played bad. He was just he looked like he's never been in that situation before, because he hasn't. He's his first year in the NFL, and he goes right into a playoff situation against the number 1 seed after winning a playoff game. So all you could do is tip your hat to that dude and that team, and it's like, on to, if you're Baltimore, it was like we came in, did what we needed to do, and then now we're on to the next one. So that's that game was what it was. I mean, nobody really thought that there was a chance that Houston could go in and upset Baltimore. So that was basically, came out and looked how it was, how everybody thought it was going to. The big game of the night, the big game of the weekend, in my opinion, was the Green Bay San Francisco game. I had vested interest in this game for obvious reasons, and I was this game, I was shocked to how I felt at the end of this game. Going into the game and how I felt at the end of the game, I was shocked, because it was like a totally flip of how I felt, or it was just different. I went into the game feeling like this Green Bay Packer football team is the youngest team in the NFL, and they are playing with what how you say house money, or they're not supposed to be here, right? So whatever outcome, however they end the day, it it it's like they're not supposed to be here anyway. So it whatever the outcome is, it's a positive one. There's no negative on it, because you weren't supposed to go into Dallas and win. You're not even supposed to be in the game, let alone be dominating the whole game down until the end, and have plenty of chances to win the game, to put the game away, and to be like, to look like the number 1. You had so many of those chances, and that's where I came out at the end of the game, where I'm sitting here like with my head in my hands, like there was chances that this team could have just slammed the door on the 49ers, that could have just I mean, they were the better they were the better team the entire day. There was so many opportunities in that game that they could have did the same thing that they did in Dallas to the 49ers. They're savages, guaranteed pick six. All he has to do is kind of like do one of these, or just do something where the ball is possessed in his hand and his body for the right amount of time that it needs to be, so he can get and go towards the end zone and score a touchdown. There was 2 other potential interceptions that would have flipped that game, or I mean, and then the field goals. Look, Andrew Carlson, I have been all season long saying he's got a big leg, he's got a big leg, he's got a good leg. And that's good to have in a place like Green Bay. If you're going to be playing home football games and those elements, you got to have somebody with a big leg, and let's dial in the accuracy. He's a rookie. Let him get time. He's missed 13 freaking field goals this year, and that was a big one, man. You don't miss those. His own coach admittedly said he's terrified when that dude gets ready to kick. He prays, he hopes and prays, and he would sacrifice a live chicken if he could before every time that guy goes out there and kicks a field goal. So that was an issue. The Packers go after San Francisco scores, kicks a field goal, go 17. Aaron Jones runs down. There's so many things. They go interception. I'm trying to remember it in my head because it's burnt into my brain. And this goes to being a Packers fan as a whole, where this has happened to us by the 49ers. The 49ers have done this to us countless times, where there was Colin Kaepernick doing it to Aaron Rodgers. I think that was a home game. I want to say that was a home game, doing it to us there, or Aaron Rodgers going into San Francisco back-to-back seasons and losing when they were winning, and just as it's I've seen it before, over and over again. We've seen it as Packer fans, and this was could this be on what I saw somebody say this? I don't remember who it was, but could this be something like this is just what Jordan Love needed, was San Francisco to baptize him into Packer quarterback lore, or anoint him as the next big Packer quarterback by basically just ripping the hearts out of him, taking everything. I mean, oh my God, just epic failure. That's what I came out of the game feeling, even though knowing everything that I know about how I felt going into the game, and still knowing it. There's so much there with this team to look forward to next season, and they're already talking about giving him an extension. Jordan Love, making him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Now, I'm a fan of the team. I'm a fan of Jordan Love. I give him the money. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be the quarterback there. From my perspective, I'm not going to look at it like, hey, that's a lot. That's a lot to do. That's a lot to give to a guy that just did it one season. I'm not looking at it from that perspective because I'm a fan. So I don't care. If they want to do that, do it, as long as the guy's here. If he sucks for the next, whatever. I don't think he's going to, though. I don't think he's going to. And I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be something to be dealt with in that NFC. If they dominated the Cowboys for the most part of that football game. You can see some of the inexperience coming out, the youth, whatever you want to call it, whatever cliche you want to throw at it. You saw it in that Cowboy game a little bit, and then you saw it more yesterday. But all that means is that they're learning. They're learning from all this. They're going to figure it out. They're going to put it all together and be that much better next season. That's what you hope as a Packers fan, for sure. And that's what I hope. That's what I know Matt LaFleur is hoping. That's what I know Gutekunst is hoping. That's what I know everybody in the Packers organization is hoping, that they learn from this and they get better. But just think about where they were and what they could have done yesterday if they take advantage of those opportunities. It would have looked very, very similar to what it looked like in Dallas. Very, very similar. And that's what, at the end of the day, it really had me feeling like I've had in the past, even though it's a different team, a different mindset when it comes to, hey, these guys are young, they're not supposed to be here. Who cares if they win or lose? It's the experience that matters. No, man. They could have won those games. They could have won that game yesterday, and they could have been playing in the NFC. And in the way that they were playing, and the things that they put, the situations, the opportunities that they gave themselves yesterday, taking that into the championship game, rolling like that, and then having that adrenaline or that even extra motivation to play against Detroit, a team that you've already beat, in Detroit. You're going to go back to Detroit and go beat them come on. That Packers team would have been hot and rolling, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But one thing I do know is that during that game, Jordan Love was the best quarterback in that game. He's the best quarterback, and you're going to see and hear a lot today about Brock Purdy, and they're going to go back and forth on Brock Purdy, and like I said on yesterday on Wheelhouse, I gave the dude his props. I gave the dude his flowers when that last drive coming down at the end, that last drive, he made the throws, he made the plays, he made he did what he needed to do from the quarterback position. And that's what I said last week, that I wanted to see him do that, because that, in my opinion, I haven't really seen him do that with that team. He did it on that last drive. He did do it. He did make some plays. He did make a pass. There was even a couple passes a series before to get them into that field goal position that he made to save him on a 3rd and long situation. So did he do that? Yes. But like I said, there's opportunities there that Packers defense didn't capitalize on that would have flipped that whole game, that were made because of his bad throws. He made bad decisions. He made bad throws that you're not really going to look at or even remember if you look at the stat line and didn't really watch the game. Well, he almost threw at least 2, possibly 3. 1 for sure, 2 pretty sure, and then there was a 3rd one that you could have looked at as probably being picked as well. So he wasn't that for the most of that game. He was not helping that position. He was not helping from that position. Christian McCaffrey blew off like a 50-something yard touchdown run to give them their 2nd touchdown. Nice, tremendous pass to Kittle to get their 1st touchdown, and then it was another big run from McCaffrey to get touchdown number 2. So McCaffrey was a lot of workload on that, but that's what you want, right? That's what you want your whole team. That's what football's a team game, right? But I just don't think, from the perspective of Brock Purdy being, like, if the San Francisco 49ers lost that game, everybody would be talking about, not only me, but everybody would be talking about how the 49ers need a quarterback. They don't have the quarterback. They would go back to it last year when they didn't actually have a quarterback to play football, a healthy guy. And then you're going to go back the year before, the couple years before, with Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G screwing things up in the Super Bowl, and different things here and there you can bring up about Kyle Shanahan's quarterback decisions. All that stuff was going to be talked about. And like I said, I'm sure there are a lot of people like me that don't believe that Brock Purdy is one of those elite guys, or those guys that you. I don't know if he's going to get you to win a Super Bowl. Like I said, though, I gave him his flowers at the end. That drive at the end, it was good. He did what he needed to do. He did what he needed to do. But that whole game, Jordan Love was a better quarterback. He just was. Absolutely stupid pass at the end. Just dumb, unnecessary 2nd down, and I think it was 5 maybe. And just a stupid pass into triple coverage off is just horrible. But the thing is, he didn't need to do it. He hasn't made that bad decision until then, because that interception before that was a tip pass that he could have got the ball down a little bit more, but it was just a tip pass. When a tip pass goes up like that, so I don't really put that on him, but that one was dumb. That one was the dumbest thing he's done in the entire playoffs. And if you want to put that on the growing pains, sure. Okay. But up until then, that dude has been one of the best quarterbacks in the playoffs. And I mean, he was the best quarterback on the field that day. He was the best quarterback on the field that day. So, but the 49ers are moving on. The Ravens are moving on, and the Niners will play the Lions. Now, we all know how I have a bias towards the Lions. I just, whatever. But as far as on the football field goes, like I'm not going to say they surprised me or nothing, but they're a legit freaking football team. And I even said last week on Wednesday, I wanted to find some football proof, and I really couldn't find any football proof on how Tampa Bay could beat Detroit. And I was just hoping on Baker Mayfield doing some Baker Mayfield shit and winning the football game. He almost did too. He almost did, but it didn't happen. So, back to cleaning to the toilets somebody's going to make him. Somebody's going to pay him a lot of money, Baker Mayfield. But Detroit runs the ball well. They really run the ball well. Their offense is really good. Jared Goff is he surprised the hell out of me in that playoff game. But again, like Tampa Bay gave him so much, and when you give that dude that's the thing is what we're looking at is Tampa Bay was defensively wasn't as is not as good as how San Francisco's what San Francisco's going to present for golf. So that's going to be different. So, but he did what he needed to do yesterday, and I think the biggest thing with that is the running game, the Lions running game, and the Packers are running the football on the Lions or on the 49ers on Saturday as well. Aaron Jones, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think he went over 100 yards, and he was going off. He had a touchdown, and he was doing. He had that big burst too, that like over 40, 50 yarder that got him down where I thought the game was over at that point. It was like 7 minutes left. It was 21-17, big run down. And I thought it was done because I'm like, oh man, they're going to drain the clock and blah, blah, blah. But and I think this is the only question because if Detroit goes and looks at that San Francisco Packer game and there was a lot of pin and pulls with what the Packers were doing with their wide receivers, but you got to look at, Amon-Ra isn't that big. I mean, you might do this with the tight ends, but the thing is also too that the Packers have 3 legit tight ends, and the Lions also have some legit tight ends there too as well. So I think they can duplicate some of the things that the Packers did, but the running game is where I feel like the 49ers can get gashed and can set up something on the outside because I think defensively, I'm not going to say they're weak on the outside, because I don't think that if you look at that San Francisco 49er defense, that there's a quote unquote weakness, like a weakness in the armor. But I do think that the running game and the running attack, the way that the Packers ran the football yesterday, using their receivers to kind of do those pin down blocks, those almost crackback situations, but to get that seal on those defensive ends, they did it to Young and they did it to Bosa on both sides. I think Detroit can replicate that. I just don't know if the size of the receivers, like I don't know how long it's going to last, because you ask a receiver. That's the one thing about the Packers, is that they get some pretty big sizable receivers. Watson's pretty big. Dobbs is pretty big. Wicks is a pretty big dude, but and then they're not afraid to get their heads in there. So you're going to ask Reynolds, you're going to ask, Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra, for where he's not that big, but if they hit enough of those runs, then that's when they can. Kyle Shanahan, or I'm sorry, the Campbell will have that all figured out. But that's from the football perspective. That's where I think the Lions are very, very similar, or they can do similar things to what the Packers did that had them successful against the 49ers on that run game. But as far as when Goff drops back, it's look the hell out. I mean, look the hell out, because those guys are going to get up there. They're going to get upfield between Young, Bosa. They're going to get upfield. And then but you got to flip over to the 49ers too. Debo, I read something earlier this morning. He's 50-50 on if he's going to play or not. So that's interesting right there as well, because that changes the game plan a lot. even though that kid, that number 15, I can't remember his name, he caught a big couple plays down at the towards the end of the game there. But he came in and did pretty well. But having Debo Samuel out there is a pretty significant deal. And not having him out there is a big blow to what San Francisco does very well. And also between, having that kind of sort of three-headed monster with McCaffrey, Kittle, and Debo. And if you give me throw four heads on it with Ayuk. Ayuk has been pretty good as well. That's going to be a fun game. I think the 49ers are going to win. But it's going to be a fun game. And I do see how Detroit could win the game. I mean, there's you saw what if Detroit capitalizes on if Purdy goes and does the kind of the same things that he was doing and not, making good decisions, having but throwing bad balls into coverage or just blatantly, he threw two just right at I mean, it was crazy. It was wild. If he does stuff like that again and Detroit capitalizes on those, I think it's going to be, it's just going to be difficult. But I do Debo, let's go this way. If Debo's healthy, I think for sure 49ers win. And it's a 2-score game, whether it's 10 points or 14 points, it's a 2-score game. And that's what I think. But if Debo doesn't play, then that's when I'm curious. I think Debo, if Debo is that much of a flip either way on the game. I really do, especially for what the 49ers do and how they do it. But and then you look on the other side, the Chiefs and the Ravens, the AFC side of things. Man, that's going to be a fun one. But and then Patrick's going to continue the story. I think that's another thing. Patrick is going to go win an AFC championship game on the road now. You won one of those divisional games. Go win an AFC championship game on the road now. Now let's see if you could do that. Is like that's how I'm looking at with the whole Pat Mahomes story. That's going with the on the road playoff wins and stuff like that. But they look good. They look good. They Pacheco. If they keep doing the things that they're gonna be in another same situation with the same kind of deal with the same quarterback mind, like runs the football, and it's gonna be almost the same type of game. Lamar presents a little bit different things as far as running the football goes. He's not as downhill down your throat. He's more of get on the edge and I'm gonna pass it, and no, I'm gonna run it. Kind of a situation. Not saying Josh Allen didn't do that, but Josh Allen is a QB power type of dude, and Lamar's more of a QB sweep kind of a dude. So when it comes to running the football, anyway, that it's going to be the same game. Both. If you look at it both ways, they're both going to try to run the ball. It's going to be identical game plan, identical things going from both sides. Tight ends are going to be involved. Mark Andrews might be back. Like really, it's looks like it's going to be an identical type of a game from both perspectives, both sides of things. There's different players you have to prepare for, obviously, but you got a running quarterback that can run the ball very well, the MVP of the league, pretty much. You just played a game where you had a running quarterback, different style of running, but still a running quarterback. So it's going to be the same kind of situation, but we'll look into that game more. Also, we'll look into more of the Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers game as well as we move on through the week. Now, let me get a swig of water real quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that was kind of annoying. The NBA, man. That's what's going to save us after football is done. I know some of you may not watch basketball for whatever reason. I understand. And there's sometimes I've wanted to turn it off and say the hell with it as well. But I don't, because I love basketball. Been watching a lot of college basketball as well lately, but believe me, we're going to get more into the college basketball realm of things as I get going with more shows and more content like this throughout the day, throughout the week. Hopefully, we'll get into more of that stuff because I've just been, man, that was what a game yesterday between Iowa and Ohio State overtime. Caitlin Clark gets flopped. I was gonna tee that up. I was gonna tee that up right here, but I think we might look at that on Wednesday. Uh, the Caitlin Clark flop at the end of the game, altercation with the fan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I can get something to share that. Or maybe I might even pull it up after this. But anyway, uh, the NBA, more basketball is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. So, real quick, I want to let you know when it comes to basketball, especially the NBA. If you're talking about me, um, I don't have a lot of. I have bias with the Packers, obviously, but I don't get. The only time I get homerish is with the NBA and the Nuggets because I'm a Nuggets honk. I'm a Nuggets homer. Whatever you want to call it. I love the Denver Nuggets, and I'm always going to be biased. I'm always going to be on. I love the Nuggets, right? I'm a Nuggets fanboy, but the NBA in general. So when it comes to the NBA, I'm always comparing everything to Nuggets. The Nuggets are the champs, the defending champs. You got to beat the champs to be. And there's nothing that I've seen this year that doesn't make me think that the Nuggets are going to be there at the end, in the end. Real quick, let's look down at where we are. This is the Eastern Conference. We'll jump into the Western Conference, but let's look at the Eastern Conference here really quick. The Nuggets just beat the Boston Celtics. There I go, right away, right in the Nuggets. You see this one right here, 20-1. If anybody that's wrestling fans, you know the significance of the 20-1. There's some great memes going on out there as well about that. I think when it comes to the Eastern Conference that you're looking at the Celtics, the Bucks, and then the 76ers, and then everything else after that is a hit or miss. I don't know if the Knicks they made that trade. I don't know if they're going to, if that was enough to get them to where they need to be. The Cavaliers might be trading Donovan Mitchell. Who knows what's going on exactly with them. The Heat might be looking to acquire somebody to jump them back, but you can't count out the Heat because they're always in this situation. And then at the end of the season, they're in the NBA Finals. So you can't count them out. Then you have the Pacers where they just made that trade with Bruce Brown and Siakam. So we're going to see how that goes. Did they win last night? I got to see if they won last night real quick. I know I put money on that game. I think I took Houston to win, or not Houston, but yeah, Houston. I think they played Phoenix last night. Where is it? All right. But when it comes to, let's see. No, the Suns won. Yep. So when it comes to, I don't even know if he played in this game, but I like the Eastern Conference. It's those top 3 teams, 4 teams. Siakam, he did play 30 minutes, 15 points. See, I mean, and is that what they're looking? That's interesting. We're gonna see what it starts to turn into with that Indiana Pacers, the second place team in the when it comes to the in IST in season tournament. So the Eastern Conference is like I said, it's those top 3 teams right here, and then everybody else. Because I don't buy you got the Heat are going to probably be up here if everybody stays healthy. That's just the way it goes, and I think they're going to make a trade. I don't know who they're going to get. That's the biggest thing with the NBA is there's trades going to be made. Somebody's going to make a trade. It's Cleveland's going to do something to acquire, or I've been hearing about Donovan Mitchell getting traded, and then you go down here to the Hawks. There's Trae Young's been talked about getting traded for, I want to say, almost 2 seasons now. He's still around. Who else is over there? Is Bogdanovich on that team? He's like, there's so many things that are looked at being traded. Then you got Bruce Brown that's looked at as talked about a trade potential too, because I don't think he's going to stay on the Toronto Raptors. There's either if it's going to be a buyout situation or they're just going to trade him. So one of those things are going to happen. But it's the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers. I'm rooting for the Sixers. Okay, in my opinion, if the Denver Nuggets, like, again, I'm biased as hell. I'm a Nuggets fan. I've already penciled them in the finals. There's nothing that has happened this season that tells me otherwise. Okay. I want to see Philadelphia in the finals with the Nuggets, because in my opinion, that is the cherry topper, with the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic beating the Sixers and Joel Embiid in the finals would be the cherry topper. There's no discussion. There's no discussion about who's the greatest big, who's the best big, blah, blah, blah. There's no discussion. It's done. Over, right? Over. I don't know if it's all depends on Joel. The Bucks and the Celtics. The Bucks, I think the Bucks right now are probably going to end up being the team that's in the finals. They're probably going to end up being the best team in the East. They really are. Because when Lillard gets going, like, because that's the biggest thing too, is that we really even had some of these guys that have done this in the playoffs. Really, we haven't seen them in the playoffs and really get going and see what they can do. Lillard's a playoff guy. He just never really had dudes that can get up and go with him, but he's a dude that's going to go in the. He's got one of the best players in the world on his team that can go with him now. Man, can you just imagine, everybody's going to collapse on Giannis because he's trying to take it to the rack, and then you're going to kick it out to Dame, who can drain it from anywhere. Can you imagine that? Give me a break. My goodness. The Celtics, they all ride on Joe Mazzulla. And I said this last season. If Joe Mazzulla can get these guys where they need, they'll go. But they'll go as far as Joe goes with them. Like, that's the way it's gonna be, because there's not a coach that he's gonna meet in the playoffs that you can give him that you can give him the check in the coach's box when you looking across at those teams. I don't see one. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. But and so that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's going to be Milwaukee. I hope it's Philly, but I think it's going to be Milwaukee. But look the hell out for the Heat, and we got to see what the Pacers are going to do when it comes to doing what they need, getting where they need to get with this new trade. If it does get them up here where they need to go, because remember, all you got to do is get into the playoffs, right? Then anything can happen. Anything can happen. Look at the Western Conference. The Timberwolves are still there, number one. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Nuggets, Clippers, who I think this is the team right here that you got to worry about here. If you're the Nuggets, Pelicans, Mavericks, Suns, Kings, oopsie, Lakers. Lakers might make the play-in game. Hopefully, again, that's the way the IST champs down here bringing up the rear. But they are on a one. They did win one game. Or on one game winning streak is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, the Timberwolves are there, right? We've been waiting for the Timberwolves to catch on, and they finally did. They're there. They're there. So when it comes to this situation, in my opinion, the only team that's up here is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm not going to say they're fraudulent. I'm just going to say they're not ready. They are not ready. In a 7-game series, the Nuggets would beat them in 5. In a 7-game series, the Timberwolves would beat them in 5. The Clippers would beat them in 5. I give them. I don't think in a 7 that team is built and has the experience or understanding of getting through and playing in a 7-game series. I just don't yet. The Wolves do, because they've done it. I'll keep saying till this day that the Wolves were the Nuggets' toughest opponent, toughest out last year. Gave them the toughest most problems uh, in that playoff run. I really do think that with what Anthony Edwards does, and then what Cat and Gobert can do potentially is pretty. That's pretty rough. Especially Cat. Cat's probably like he's up there. He's one of the best players in the world. Definitely one of the best players in the NBA. But for sure, like he's up there. And like I said, the Clippers, they're coming, man. They're coming like the Buffs, like Prime was coming to Boulder. They're on their way. They stay healthy. They keep doing what they're doing. Everybody keeps their same focus. Harden keeps doing what he's doing. Westbrook keeps being cool, coming off the bench, doing what he's doing. But if they get injured, if Harden gets hurt, if Paul gets hurt, George gets hurt, not George, Kawhi gets hurt. If something gets screwed up and they go out, then that's going to have to alter to what they got going. And then when that dude comes back, they're going to have to figure it out again. That's the biggest thing with the Clippers, and it's always been that way. Always been that way. Is that they get into situations where they get injured, and everything that they had, all the gel that they had going, everything that they had rolling, just goes to crap because the piece is out. Then when they try to bring the guy back, it's too late. Clippers stay healthy. Harden stays healthy. Kawhi, George, those guys stay healthy. That's going to be fun. That Denver Clippers series is going to be fun. One for the ages because the Clippers have a lot. They got receipts that they want to go cash. They want to go cash in. They got a lot of stuff that they got to get off their chest with the Denver Nuggets, and that would be a great series. But I'm really interested also, to see Dallas Mavericks trades here in the Western Conference too. Could be that some storylines could pop up. I don't think they just re-signed Kyrie. I don't think they're going to do anything with Luka, but who knows? Who knows? The Lakers are always talking about trading to go get somebody. They've been linked to Chicago. They are now linked to Toronto to go get Brucey B. There's been other reports of them looking at other players, and then like I said, the Nuggets, there's a potential that they could go get somebody. I don't know who. They could maybe go get Brucey B again. The Pelicans, is Zion, do they go by Zion, or is Zion, are they gonna trade Zion? I don't know what's going on there with the Pelicans, because there's a lot of storylines there going back and forth with Zion not doing or wanting to do what they are suggesting, the team is suggesting he does, to stay healthy, to stay in fit and shape and all that stuff. The Suns are always interesting if they get if they get together and they start playing ball. Bill's healthy. I mean, they won 5 in a row, 7 of their last 3, so they're starting to play good basketball. Like I said, they just beat Indiana, and I don't know. I mean, Kevin Durant's there. Devin Booker's one of the best players in the world too, and the best players in the NBA for sure. So they're always they got Yusuf Nurkic there. They got a decent supporting cast that comes off the bench, but I just don't know, when you look at the Western Conference, there's not a joker stopper there. There's just not. So, and the same thing with the Eastern Conference outside of Philly. There's not a joker stopper there. I'm going to give Embiid, if they go one-on-one, I'm not going to say he's a joker stopper, but if they go one-on-one, which they really won't go a lot, but in a 7-game series, you see the Nuggets and the Sixers, you're going to see a lot of one-on-ones with Joker and Embiid, and that's what I want to see. That's the only, I think that's the only one that could be his equal. That's the only, Highlander, that's the only, take me to my equal. That's the only one that can really, I'm not saying that I'm not going to give the nod to Embiid, but I want to see that matchup in a 7-game series. I want to see it. And that's the only way we're going to get it, is if Philly gets their shit together and gets to the freaking NBA finals. That's the only way we're going to get it. And I hope that happens this year. That's what I'm rooting for. But those are some of the storylines that I'm interested in throughout the NBA. Like I said, going forward, we're going to get into a bunch of other stuff with the NBA, and all that stuff, and more basketball, college basketball in particular. I love me some college basketball, and I will try to there's a lot of it to sift through. The way I'm going to do it is we're going to get into a conference. We're going to get to it by conferences. And that's the way that I do it. I just break it down because every conference has different types of basketball, and it's like every conference is its own league in itself. And then you try to be the best in that. Like we'll get into it though, but I love and this is the way I look at it, and hopefully I can point it out there or put it out there and see if y'all like it and want to get involved with it too. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today. I thanks for joining me. I didn't know how long we were going to go today. So we're coming up on an hour. I didn't think I could talk this long today, but I did. Thanks for hopping in. If you did, don't forget to follow us on X and pretty much all the socials at 5280 Sports Radio. Follow me, Matt Mascarenas, at Matt Mascarenas1, Instagram, House Dad Matt. We are the same on Instagram as well, 5280 Sports Radio. Go get all of our good stuff online. I'm sorry, on the website via e5280sports.com. Blogs. We're probably gonna have an MMA recap coming down with our latest writer contributor to recap that fight if you didn't watch it, or if you did watch it, to see his opinion on it too as well. Plus plenty of other breakdowns and stuff from the NFL and the NBA at e5280sports.com. That's going to do it for me, Matt Mascarenas. Thank you for joining me on another edition of Ball Sports. Don't be a ball watcher.